Apologies for the noise. Just found these.
Chef
So good,
series in collaboration with Po. Chinese barbecue duck with hoisin sauce. That sounds
Dude,
sick.
they are unreal.
That sounds unbelievable.
They're so good that I took them in to the room with me.
My mouth is jealous. I sent you a picture a couple of weeks ago of a Kiwi series which had, God, what even were they off the top? Like an apricot chicken. What else? The other ones I can't remember. But none of them hit. I found them curious, but I didn't find them like appealing in the way that a hoisin duck really sounds appealing to me.
I mean, Peking duck is just like, just the greatest.
What a meal!
Flavor.
What a meal!
You know, Peking.
Yes.
Do you know why it's called Peking duck?
No.
It's a misinterpretation, something to do with the Catholics coming over to China, and when they were trying to say the word Beijing, they thought people were saying
they
Peking.
literally just fucked it up.
Yeah.
Wow.
So now it's called Peking duck, but it's Beijing duck.
Oh, well, that is actually an interesting thing. I found my my photo here, and it includes a pulled pork with apple and a mousetrap, like a ham and cheese mousetrap. These are all chip flavors. Yeah, they're called mousetraps. But none of them appealed. Like I wasn't committed enough to go, I'll grab one of all those and try them, because I don't want to eat apricot chicken as a meal anyway, let alone like in a chip form.
No. What is apricot? No, I wouldn't like that.
It was definitely like a thing we had growing up, early thousands, late 90s maybe.
Apricot chicken.
But I think that phase is over.
I mean, I do like American style Chinese. It's really good. I used to love
Is that
honey
what
chicken,
apricot
which
chicken's
is,
meant to be though?
Yeah, I don't think it's not. No one in China is eating apricot chicken.
No, but I didn't even realize it was in like. I thought it was one of those weird sort of like British import Western stews more than it was like a. I don't think it's like a Chinese stir fry thing. I feel like it's this weird sort of oceanic British kind
like
of
Mediterranean. Almost?
Yeah, almost like a made up European import, you know.
Yeah, like the chicken tonight kind of.
Yeah. Chicken tonight. You don't hear them.
Chicken tonight. I
Chicken
actually just watched
tonight.
an ad from an 80s ad.
Yeah.
And just like the jingle, just really, I'm like, whoa, I remember this.
So I'm Googling here the history of apricot chicken. The first reference
We're after
here,
a flying start, ladies and gentlemen.
this is actually more interesting than us talking about haircuts or the gym. So I think we're actually doing pretty well
Which
in terms
we will get to.
There's references here from the 1970s. Chicken, apricot nectar, dried French onion soup mix. It's not an exclusively Australian phenomenon. The Arizona Sun in the US ran an identical recipe in 1975. But perhaps the stage was set back in the 1930s when fruit growers in California invented the term whole fruit nectar to describe the new range of fruit drinks. These nectars were made from liquefied whole fruit sweetened with pure cane sugar. And then they I guess, transported it over to Australia.
Yeah, I mean, the Chinese have like American Chinese orange chicken. I guess that's one. Honey chicken, lemon chicken.
Yeah.
But this is all stuff that you find in a mall.
Yeah.
You know, in like an Adelaide mall.
Yeah.
Food court.
It's interesting because the list of like comparisons here. 1970s classics up there with quiche, carrot cake, and cheese fondue. And that really does sort of, it feels like those are the quintessential like growing up foods, right? For me at least.
Cool. Quiche. Man, I don't think quiche.
No, you're saying it wrong. Yeah, it's quiche. But that was definitely like we'll have quiche this, once a week probably growing up. But I don't really have that much quiche anymore.
Very foreign to me.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if we went out to brunch and they had quiche on the menu and you're like, I'm just going to have the quiche, I would genuinely look at you differently.
Wait, is quiche a brunch food? Like, where are you even? I feel like that at best is for sale at lunchtime onwards in a cabinet at one of those cafes that's in the Bunnings complex You know,
Sure.
like it's not at like the cool cafes. They're not putting a quiche on the menu.
No, but
Like
I can see
a
it.
slab of it is there for grandmas to come up at, at 12:15 p.m. and have lunch, you know?
Yeah, I can see it making a comeback though. In like a trendy kind of way.
Yeah.
A modern take on it.
Well, it's basically
that happening.
what? Just like an omelet
an
on a
egg
pastry
pie.
bill. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
egg pie, yeah.
Yeah. I don't
So
know.
shall we try and reinvent it?
Let's reinvent the quiche. We could call it the reinvention is the quiche.
Okay. Just to like rebrand it for a younger Gen Z, call it
Yeah,
quiche
maybe
now.
like an LGBT kind of thing.
Okay.
Where it's like quiche.
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 A quiche.
I don't know.
Um,
Spitballing.
do you ever feel like you have the confidence that if you did run a cafe or a food truck or something, that you'd be very good at it?
Yeah.
Because
I really, really do.
I genuinely feel like I could make great food that people would enjoy, but I also feel like
Do you
I'm
mean
smart en-
creating the menu though?
Oh,
Or do you
100%.
mean
Yeah, create the menu,
Yeah.
like run, like if I had a
type,
pop-up
the
shop
cuisine.
and I was making quiche to go, I feel like
Quiche, yeah.
I feel like I could do it. I feel like I could have a coffee truck, you know. I feel like I'd be great at this. I feel like I could make a taco stand. But
Yeah.
I also feel like I'm smart enough that I know that the hospitality industry is such a grind, such a busy, takes so much out of you. And the margins are so wafer thin, I feel like I'm
razor sharp.
smart enough to be like, I don't have the passion to do it, but I know that I could.
No,
But I don't
yeah.
have I'm not willing to commit that much of my life to this goal, even though I'd do
Totes.
great.
No, it would be a dream of mine. I just even like the music and stuff. I don't eat brunch ever, and I don't really respect brunch. I think as a
What?
type of meal.
What?
No, I mean, what is it?
It's
I'm
food
not gonna
before
do
lunch.
Yeah, but like, what is it's? So it's maybe egg. You
It's
can have-
almost always egg.
Yeah, well, just eat an egg whenever you want. I don't know. But I would, when you go to a restaurant and they've got like pages of food, they've got pasta and they've got,
You're thinking of going to
a house curry.
Wait, what?
Oh yeah, places that just do whatever you need.
Like
We can-
any
we can
cuisine you
whip
want.
something up.
We got a pad
Alarm
thai.
bells.
We got a bolognese.
you go.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, you got to do like four things well and a veggie option. Bang. Is it?
I feel
All
like
the best places do that.
I feel like you can either be very, very top tier, where it's like when you look on Google Maps or whatever, it's got the $4 signs. At that level, you're allowed to say, I've got a grated truffle risotto, and I've got a Sri Lankan curry, and I've got a fish, and I've got my rissoles or whatever, right? I feel like when you get like super top tier, you're allowed to be like, I got a curry and pasta. Come at me, bro.
Trust me, bitch. Yeah.
Or you can be right at the very bottom and you can be like, we do everything, but we also do 800 dishes. And I think the
Yep.
danger zone is in the middle, where you're like a decent size family run
Yeah.
website restaurant that does a little bit of everything. I think that's when you're in real trouble.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I would really like to do this now. Actually,
Okay.
I'd also like to in my twilight years, just like really Daniel Day-Lewis it and just go over to Japan and study sushi making. I think that'd be a cool,
Okay.
cool thing for me to do.
Is that
at
what Daniel
my later
Day-Lewis
years.
is doing currently?
No, but he did that with he went after There'll Be Blood. He just went to Italy and then learnt how to be a cobbler in a village for
Sure.
like 7 years.
And this is your
mean-
equivalent of cobbling.
Yeah.
I wonder what his shoes are like.
I think he dresses quite eccentric.
Yeah.
He wears a lot of boots.
But do you think he's happy?
No. There's this not to bring up Louis so early on, but there was this Louis tells this story where he's shooting on New York on a New York side street, and Daniel Day-Lewis just walks past, and he's just a pedestrian, and he's like, "Oh my god, that's Daniel Day-Lewis!" Like in his head, thinking, "Can I quickly try and say something to get him in this
Yeah,
movie or
wrangle
whatever.
him, yeah.
And then at that moment, Daniel Day-Lewis hit like his head on some like a boom gear or something like that. And Louis said, "Oh, sorry, Daniel, did that, Mr. Day-Lewis, did that hit you?" And he said, "Yes, it did." Louis tells it like he did it. He was like, he did the voice.
Yeah.
Like maybe that's how he talks.
Maybe
It might not have been Louis.
It also may not have been Daniel Day-Lewis.
It might not have been anyone.
You might have dreamt this story and it didn't happen at all.
It's a pretty good one though.
Welcome
good.
to Deep Thought, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here at the start of a podcast episode. I think you'll find over the course of this that as time progresses, we'll get closer and closer towards the end, at which point it will cease and you go on with your day and do something else. Sitting through the internet with me this week, my friend Michael. Hello.
Hi everyone.
Hi, I'm Dr. Nick.
Hi everybody.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
I used to do that all the time. Hey Nick, I just got to. I told you I got a surprise for you. I got a really.
I was leaving that space there, ready for you to jump in.
I will come back.
Oh, okay. This is a leave the room surprise. Okay, he's exited through the door. He twisted it clockwise. He's retracted the door slightly on its hinges. It's actually quite a silent door. He didn't hear any squeaks whatsoever. He's stepped through, come out through the other side. The door, he pulled it behind him. It's actually opened slightly, perhaps of its own volition. Maybe the hinges are slick enough that they don't actually stay where they were. So now the door is actually open 90 degrees, perpendicular to the door frame. Michael's still not visible, but disappeared off into the back of his house somewhere, presumably acquiring something, donning something. He could have quickly ducked to the bathroom. He's entered with a dog.
Hello, who's that?
Oh,
Who's that?
my gosh. So we got a black little, what is that? Like a cocker spaniel? Cavoodle. Wow. Oh, it's adorable.
We got a dog this morning,
Oh, that's exciting.
and her name is Pepsi.
I'm sorry for misgendering you, Pepsi. What a lovely branded.
Isn't she gorgeous?
What a lovely branded name.
Say hi to Nick. Say hi to Nick.
Hi, Pepsi.
All right, I'm gonna put it back because she was so cuddly. I ripped her away.
Okay.
How adorable is
Oh, that is just a lovely surprise. How fun.
that? I know.
How long has this been in the works?
Man. Well, we've got a weird landlord situation. Basically, it's a family friend of Lauren's folks, and they were a bit nervous to ask him about the dog. But when he comes and fixes the sink and stuff, he always brings his dog. So like, he's going to be cool with it. But they just wanted to play it safe, and then they asked him if we could have a dog, and he's like, of course, that'd be amazing. And so within a week we just got one.
Wow.
So yeah, we went and picked her up this
pound?
morning. No, we got it from a breeder.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it was a bit of a weird situation there. Like, I was texting. I think we found it on Gumtree,
Right.
And it's this woman. She was very professional in a way. Very proactive, telling us about the vaccinations and stuff, and
got all the
checklisting
paperwork.
of things, and all the paperwork was there. So I had this like impression of what she was like, and then we arranged to. I was texting her to arrange a day to pick it up today, and she sends me a message saying, "Hey babe, just confirming the time." I'm like, okay, the babe is a bit weird.
Yeah,
the babe is a bit weird there.
Yeah, we've never met, and you're calling me babe.
So I said that to Lauren.
Yeah,
who was initially. She was like, "What the fuck? Like, who's this bitch?" But then immediately she was like, "Oh, she thinks you're a girl," and I was like,
"Why?
She doesn't."
Oh, because it's a cavoodle, a girl's dog.
I wasn't even going to say that. But then we got there, and she was like, I think she was on drugs. She has like all the siblings there, and the dad is there, and the mom, and we didn't see them.
Wait, humans or of the dog?
No, sorry, of the dog, yeah. We didn't see them. We could just hear them like calling out for each other. And I didn't actually, I should have. I didn't think really about the fact that we're taking this young woman from
You're
dog
really getting mixed
girl.
up which ones are humans and which ones are dogs in this story.
It's tricky. I didn't think about like actually like taking her away, and it wasn't as bad as it could have been, but yeah, there was a bit of like when Pepsi was like trying to like suss us out, like who are you and why are you holding me a lot, and why is my I don't know, the other girl, the breeder, why is she talking to you like that?
Yeah.
And this breeded chick was like real like Essex like, so that's what. So it was like that explains the hey babe.
Okay.
Hi babe.
Sure. Okay, it
but
was a cultural thing.
She had like she had like fake eyelashes, and one of them was just like half off, like covering her
I
eye.
would not be able to focus on anything else with the entire conversation.
I did not. I did not focus on anything else. And Lauren was, we'll talk about it after. At one point, she went inside, and I was like, "Oh, she's gonna fix the eyelash." Nah, didn't. She was inside for like 5 minutes, came back out, still there.
Still exactly there. Oh gosh.
But anyway,
So
yeah,
I
we
gotta
got
ask.
little dog.
I gotta ask. Mm-hmm. Pepsi, was that an existing name, or that's your branding of this puppy?
So we went through a few names. I had it in my head that when I got a dog, my own dog, I'd get to name it like a real human name. And we knew it was
Yes.
going to be a female, so I was like, I want like Susan,
Yeah.
or a Barbara or something. Diana, maybe,
Diana?
if she's really elegant.
Yeah.
That could be nice.
Okay. So it depends on the look. Yeah.
Lauren did not like that idea at all.
Okay. Didn't
So
want a human
I had
dog.
to.
Which
She
apparently, again, the more I say it, the more that I'm not sure you can distinguish between dogs and humans, because it seems to be the recurring thread of this story.
Yeah. Yeah. So we went through like maybe Mimi, and then I don't know. We kind of it was Lauren's idea. We were thinking like she's black. Well, black. So like cola, So we were like, well, cola might be nice, and then Lauren was like Pepsi, and I was like, it's got to be Pepsi. It's cute. It's fun.
Yeah, and
great.
she was like, "Is Pepsi okay?" And he said, "Oh, I guess if there's nothing else."
Yeah. Yeah. That's the story we'll tell her when she grows up.
And well, that's very exciting. So did you have all this, like you'd already prepped, you have somewhere for her to sleep, you got some food, you got the carriers and all that kind of shit? Or was today also a run around and like, let's get toys, let's get hats, let's get,
No. We went yesterday and did a big shop. I didn't realize how expensive dog food is. It's
that's
very
the big one.
dear.
Yep.
And ongoing, which is great.
Yeah, they do have to eat every day.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. No, we got all this stuff. It was a bit because we weren't actually sure. We were going to meet the dog. We weren't sure. We'd only seen photos, and we're like, "Do we?"
Yeah,
I mean, we were pretty sure that we're going to come
till
home
it's
with it.
confirmed. Yeah,
Yeah. Anyway, so
that's
really,
exciting.
really happy.
I'm happy for you. Now, the big question. Is this a dog that gets in your bed?
I don't think we're going to do that. No.
Okay, you're going to set bounds.
I don't know. Is there? I think it's a bit too much. I don't know. Maybe we probably will. Who cares?
Well, which is it, Michael? Is it too
I
much
don't
or
know,
is it
Nick.
okay?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I
Well,
don't know. I think not.
I think you need to. This is a conversation you need to have and know. You need to put up a unified front against the dog's inclination to come and join you in bed, if it is the choice you're making that the dog does not join you in bed.
Yeah, I think we'll probably, maybe as a special treat. But right now, like when I just brought her in, I just literally, she's like curled up on the couch with Lauren, like under a blanket, like kind of dozing off, and I'm like, come be on Daddy's podcast. And she's like, what
content.
the fuck is a podcast?
Yeah.
And then she's like, how many followers you got?
Yeah. I only do over 200.
So don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. And I, like in this moment, I am like I'm like, we've just gotten her like 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
Like Lauren's back there, fucking, just cuddling up to this bitch. I can say that. She's a bitch.
So now you're an ally. You have
No,
access to that word.
And she's just gonna weasel away into little Pepsi's heart. I know it.
Yeah, it is. This is
annoying.
the the classic 1950s working husband versus housewife kind of thing. Like if you're not careful, if you're not putting in those hours with the with the kids, they'll pick a favorite.
I know.
And
I
you'll
can
get
feel her
home and
picking
you'll
a
be
favourite
like,
now.
"Oh, how's violin going?" And I'll be like, "I don't play violin anymore, Dad."
Didn't you play violin?
I did play violin. I still have my violin somewhere at home, probably. How cute! And I look forward to the Deep Fort podcast feed just becoming photos of Pepsi.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
It would probably get us more engagement than anything else we've ever done.
Actually, that's not bad. That's not bad.
Should we print up a specialty dog jacket that just says like and subscribe, Deep Fort faces on it?
Yes, default dog merch.
Winter gets cold. Get some Deep Fort dog beanies out there.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, okay.
I love it. I'm writing
Stay
it down.
tuned. Stick tuned.
So, what's going on? What else?
Kamala Harris.
All right, Brat herself. You heard about this Brat thing?
I have heard about this Brat thing. As a member of Gen Z, you can explain this to everyone, right?
Boy,
About Brat Summer?
I don't.
About Charlie
I'm
XCX?
not.
About
Charlie-
the coconut
oh,
tree?
This is what I know. Okay.
About the lime green? You'll explain all this to us, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You know what? I don't think I could. And I think you knew that.
Well, you set
you?
yourself up. You brought up Brat Summer.
Why don't you? It's some okay. So she's got this song. It appeals to Gen Z. It's kind of like Hot Girl Summer, but Brat is like Take What's Yours, and Gen Z or Charlie. I don't know if it's an endorsement. I don't know what to call that, but they're like she's got a bit of that, you go girl energy.
Keep
not
clicking.
it.
Keep clicking. I like that. I like that.
yeah.
Like, I felt like it was sultry.
Yeah, I felt really never mind. Yeah, so I think it sounds like Gen Z, she's like the antithesis to Trump in a way. She's, Trump being white and old and a loser and just
Mentally
a crazy
deteriorating.
person.
Yeah.
She's black and woman and Southeast Asian and I listened to a podcast this morning about this, and they were playing some clips of her like laughing, and this was to illustrate what Gen Z love, like memes that have been passed around in Twitter and TikTok and stuff like that. And it was actually really cool. Like, it was cool to see, hear her laugh. Like, she was like full belly laughing, and this is like at public events and stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think she's refreshing. I think she's also. It sounds like she's quite a bit more conservative.
In
She's
what
not
way?
she's not like a super lefty. Well, she's got a lot of rich friends.
Sure,
She's
but
like-
every person running for president, you have to have serious money to be up there. So
I think she has
there's
serious money.
definitely the
Her-
political
her-
elite class, right?
Well, her husband's a bit of a media mogul, apparently.
Doug. Duggo.
Douglas. Yeah, I don't really know, but I think, I think she's refreshing.
I agree. I mean, as someone who on record, on this pod, had been very skeptical by the pressure of Biden being, nudged out of this race based on, it seemed like political class maneuverings and media maneuverings more than necessarily data or indeed broad groundswell behind the idea.
Nick, sorry to cut you off. I would just like to hang on that a little bit because I'm not right a lot of the time, And I'd like to bask in this moment when I was, broaching the idea that Biden could pull out, and it was just like, stupid, It's on this tape, and sorry, I'm just being told we actually have that tape, so I'm just gonna I'm just going to play it. Thank you. Can you just play that?
I mean, I don't blame people for thinking that Biden had a bad night. I think he was off his game, clearly. I think that anyone who then is calling for his resignation, I think is going, as in for him to step down from the candidacy, I think is going way too far. There was the New York Times, what do they call them, the editorial board, called for him to step aside. Time put out that cover, which is, just a red thing with him walking off stage that says panic. There's a lot of sort of like op-ed media coverage saying this is time for him to step aside. But when you actually look at the data as how the viewers and voters responded, a post-debate poll of likely voters completely overturns this sort of narrative. That all these right-wing pricks saying that he should step down are so full of shit and misinformed. He is clearly fit to run for a second term. He has said unequivocally that he will run again, so we have no reason to doubt that. He's a spring fucking chicken. If you think Biden is too old, you are retarded. Honestly, someone just needs to shoot Trump and get it over with. Michael, you're probably my sexiest friend. In my opinion, Israel has a right to exist and defend itself by any means necessary. Yeah, look, I wouldn't call Hannah Gadsby a comedian in the true sense of the word. Louis C.K. is still my favorite comedian and always will be. I've also been getting back into Bill Cosby's later work, which actually really holds up.
Just really shocking when you listen back to that.
Yeah. God, on reflection, I probably took some positions there that I might need to back down from a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things you think you sound like something, and then you hear it back.
You hear it back, and you go, yeah, now with a bit of space.
You might have missed you might have missed this one, I think, because you're cackling too much.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize when I was putting this package together that you actually predicted the Trump presidency. The assassination.
The assassination. Yeah, I did pick that one up. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Which in some respects
Shocking.
actually shows that my political acumen and how switched on I am to the state of America at the moment. So in a way, sort of invalidates your criticism that my opinions were perhaps irrational.
Well, in the same way that you could say Trump predicted the January 6th riots, it's a fine line between prediction and incitement.
Sure, and our huge audience of listeners is so easily swayed by our suggestions that I should take responsibility for that. I do need to perhaps reassess my strongly held beliefs.
Just think about what you say before you say it.
Yeah. Oh, that's very good. Also, I don't like knowing that fucking AI took my voice and created an AI version of me that is not bad. Like, it's
Well, I can't tell the difference.
It's pretty
I don't
close.
Even know what you're talking about, to be honest.
It's closer than I'm comfortable with, to be honest. Very flat, but other
You're
than
out
that,
there, man. You're out there.
Not far away. God. The trying to get this train back on the rails where we could actually just talk about Biden resigning. The point
you're about to say you're glad that I'm right.
I said that. Okay, well, there's a few things here. The first is that I still believe that the manner in which this happened was a bit of a democratic coup, right? Like there was a lot of maneuverings and political pressuring and journalistic pressure that I think was potentially unfairly applied. And I think it is still unknown whether or not this gambit's worked. We won't know until election day, right? So this is all...
Kamala's polling better than Biden was against Trump now, at least. So there just seemed to be rejuvenation and a renewed sense of optimism in the party.
Yeah, and that's the credit that I will give, which is that subsequent to this, clearly there has been an upswing in terms of enthusiasm. It's definitely hitting different demographics better. Younger audiences seem to have rallied behind someone that they can care about. For a lot of people, if you go back, at least, 12 years, you haven't really had a hugely charismatic president around when these kids are growing up. Some part of this generation is getting to vote for the first time and has known like old people in the running this entire past decade. And I think genuinely
Trump is charismatic, just in the wrong ways, really.
Yeah, but we know just from generations of data that the younger you are, the more liberal you tend to be, right? And those kind of voters are not coming in there to look at Trump in vast numbers. If any of the previous polling and elections holds true, the youngest demographics will be the most anti-Trump of all of them. But yeah, the enthusiasm that seemed to have been recaptured, and part of that, I think, the smart thing that did happen was unity, right? So when it looked like Biden was going to drop out, some of the journalistic media just trying to like stick their nose in a bunch of this process. Some of them were arguing like we should have an open debate and they should get to the Democratic convention and anyone and everyone should put their hand up for the role. And then, you pick the best candidate by Democratic fiat, and that's who the nation gets behind. And I think the smart thing that they did and that Biden was aware of was his successor was there. And it was going to be Kamala. And the clearer and earlier that they can get that base rallied behind this person, the better. And as you say, the result is now a very unified party that have pivoted very elegantly. And I think actually Biden's speech was very well written and very if this works and Kamala gets the presidency, he will go down in history as a great president because this is an incredibly selfless move, right?
Totally. And people I heard someone say that exact thing pretty much, saying that people won't remember how long it took him to make this decision. He's probably pressured out by Pelosi and Schumer, whatever.
Yeah.
But what they'll remember is the grace by which he handed over and even just making that decision. And, he's probably going to go down as one of the great presidents.
Yeah.
He has been one of the great presidents.
I mean, sincerely, his track record is really good. Recovering the economy, getting out of COVID, jobs, unemployment, all that. It's really strong.
And that's post, Obama years as well.
Yeah.
Being the VP there. But yeah, I think he's definitely done the right thing. I don't think he would have done it if there wasn't any of this hoo-ha.
Correct.
Do you agree?
Correct. I think that if in a vacuum there was, say, even equal attention being paid to the strength of the candidate on the Republican Party, right? Like if half the shit that Biden was called out for was also called out on Trump's end, you'd have a very different matchup, and one in which you could validly say neither of these people seem as spry as they once were, but that was never equally applied attention.
Right. It's really, the whole thing is now really interesting. I think just even imagine from Trump's camp, they've spent this whole time preparing to fight this one particular person.
Yeah.
And now, and we're a couple of months from election. Now they have to switch. That makes it interesting. The opponent has changed. What?
Yeah.
We're fighting this guy, and now we're fighting this. And she's also, as I said before, she's like the opposite of Trump. She's a black Indian woman who's young and
younger,
attractive in a way.
Yeah.
So she's got a lot of appeal, and she's
she's
definitely
a smart
more hip.
prosecutor.
Well, that's the thing. Like Scott Galloway was saying this. He was saying you've got these, the Dems for the last, for maybe a few years age has been the issue that is a crutch for them. And it's now age is an issue, but for the Republicans, because up against Trump, if they're on a debate stage, she looks like, a ripe coconut. And he looks like a,
shriveled old nut.
Okay. Yeah. So, and on top of that, they've got the like convicted felon and prosecutor thing. I mean,
Which is, I mean, what a fucking comparator. Like,
beautiful.
chef's kiss. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. It makes it really interesting. I know she's still trailing Trump here, and she doesn't really excite people, that much. But I think
see, that's where I push up. I'll push back there because I think this is what I was getting to say. Like, I don't think that this had to happen this way. I think that Biden could have beat Trump. I think all of that is still possible. Given that it has, and given that he's handled it with such grace, and that she has now stepped into the limelight and has stepped into the campaigning phase, I think she's actually quite charismatic. I think she's quite charming. I think the thing you're saying, talking about the way she laughs really openly, like, isn't it nice to see a fucking human who knows how to, like, just be kind of chill and funny and interesting,
real,
without like,
real. Yeah,
without all of this kind of crazy other like level of whatever the Trump thing is.
The last time we saw a president truly laugh was Obama, and you're like, he's making jokes as well. He's hilarious, but like, that's an authenticity that Trump just does not, could not even look at. And yeah, she is. But you said this a few weeks ago, and I think you were right. So sometimes you are right as well, Nick. We're both right.
Great.
You said that. It's a shame that they haven't used her because she does have a lot to offer, and she gave that great interview with that everyone talks about with Anderson Cooper, I think, where she really showed her shit, and like in the last few weeks since this step down has happened, I've seen more of her, and it is weird that they didn't use her because it would have done them well.
Yeah, and I think even stylistically, their approach to Trump between the campaigns, between Biden and between Harris, is different. And Biden had a sort of elder statesman, I am above calling out my opponent. That sort of like classic Republicans used to be centrist and we disagreed on some things, but, we're all gentlemen and, handshakes and we can make something happen, which was, perhaps antiquated. When I read some of Harris's press releases after after Trump gets out in a rally and says some stuff, her approach seems to be like, Trump is crazy. She's like, he's saying things where it's like, if you sat next to them at the restaurant, you'd sort of like move your chair further away, right? She's got a very like no nonsense. This guy's spitting out racist shit. He's talking about deporting people. He's going on about sharks and electric cars. He's like the crazy person you avoid in the parking lot, and that very directness is refreshing because it's not like this sort of grand statesman. It's like, oh, we all disagree about certain things. It's like, no, this person plainly to all of us is nuts, and it's nice to have someone just say, this guy's crazy.
Yeah, can we just talk about how weird this guy is?
Yeah,
that's good. That's
refreshing.
An energy that would definitely appeal to younger people who I think are also less likely to vote. So I imagine that they'd be really trying to ride that wave as well.
Yeah. They got a huge swell of donations as well. So off the back of that, clearly there were people who were fence sitting who now feel
they're waiting.
Feeling like that money is invested in perhaps a winning cause or in a cause they believe in more. And I think you're right. Like the youth thing, even having people on, like Biden tried to co-opt the Dark Brandon thing a little bit, but he's an 80-something-year-old man.
What's the Dark Brandon thing?
Oh, I can't get into Dark Brandon was this right wing like conspiracy.
Oh, let's go, right? Brandon.
Yeah, let's go, Brandon. And then Biden sort of like took the imagery and has sort of used it to like make them annoyed effectively.
Yeah,
which was an attempt at courting perhaps some of that younger culture or that meme area thing, but it's clearly not his forte. Whereas I think Kamala's team is, just by nature of the candidate and of the age and of everything, very comfortably coasting through a social media sort of presence and brand that resonates with people, you know, like putting on the lime green color and picking up the memes and all this kind of stuff. Feels very natural. It doesn't feel as forced as it does for some candidates.
Do they have different teams?
Yeah, they have to be completely different campaigns. Yeah.
So completely different teams.
Yeah.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, in fact, so Trump clearly, like, one masterstroke, and I don't know if this is coincidental, if this is steering into the skid, or if this was deliberate, but the fact that Biden announced his resignation after they'd just spent a week picking Trump's running mate and going to the Republican convention and directing all of the anger at someone who's now no longer running is kind of hilarious, to the point where Trump is actively complaining that he wasted all this money. And I think the bigger albatross around their neck is picking JD Vance, who is an extremely unlikable, very in keeping with the existing flavor of Trump, you know, rather than a sort of more centrist face, or a woman even, that you could put forward to court an independent vote.
Yeah, I mean, it was just an insane. It was like, in terms of just strategy, just terrible.
Yeah.
Like, what the, like, great, but what are you doing?
I genuinely, you know, like, we've talked about American politics now 3 pods in a row, just because shit keeps happening. I think there's a genuine chance that by the next time we record, JD Vance will not be the running mate again. He might get the old nudge.
I think I vaguely remember reading a thing, and by reading I mean
someone told me,
that Trump was already getting a little bit annoyed, or like he wasn't fully on board with this JD Vance guy. It also just leaves it gives Kamala a great opportunity to pick with her VP as well, because, you know, they've got Trump. There's two white guys on the stage, both wealthy. I think he was a fintech guy, this JD Vance guy.
Yeah,
he's big in the tech world. And by the way, wrote the Hillbilly Elegy, which is just
a crazy other side
weird,
of it. Yeah,
terrible movie. He wrote the book, but the movie is both terrible. Kamala has this like great opportunity now and she's got some great options. She's got I'm kind of regurgitating information here.
Yeah.
From Scott Galloway and Cara, I can't forget her last name, but George Shapiro apparently has a lot of oomph, a lot of zhuzh, and also I didn't even realize this, but Mark Kelly, the astronaut.
I was going to say, it's going to be the astronaut, right?
I mean, wouldn't that be amazing? Like a black Indian woman. The first time America has a woman president, the black and Indian, and VP is an astronaut.
I mean, it's fucking
pretty
cool.
good.
It's a good.
Pretty good.
Just to go back to JD Vance, right? So there's this weird thing where his wife is Indian, right? And the crazy thing about him is he's very opportunistic, because in the like Hillbilly Elegy book, I just actually listened to do you know the podcast If Books Could Kill?
Yeah, I've heard about it.
Yeah, If Books Could Kill, they do one on Hillbilly Elegy. They just re-released it because of, you know, everything that happened. And I listened to it, and one of the things he says in the book is he tries to like plant a flag as being like sort of like a left-leaning, like socially, and he talks about how my grandma wouldn't have cared if I was gay, you know, but I wasn't gay, you know, blah blah blah. And so he had opinions. He had opinions. Well, I won't bother recounting the story. He had opinions.
Just go listen to the Hillbilly Elegy audiobook on Spotify, everyone.
Okay. Press pause now. He had all these opinions, and he, you know, said Trump was America's Hitler and all this kind of shit. And then the moment that the opportunity came, completely switched, and he's, you know, now aligned himself with this.
Do.
Oh, so crazy.
They literally have no spine. Ted Cruz, Rubio, like they have no. Who was the fucking, was it Nikki Haley who like openly despises Trump, and then she's like coming out and endorsing him? It was like, what?
They all hate him. They all
This
hate
is
him.
disgusting.
They all campaigned against him when he was not the candidate. Like in 2015, right? When they were trying to lock up the nomination, they were all saying the shit that we all saw as well, right? But then you have to fall in line, otherwise, whatever. But so he's now pivoted to be this conservative figure and now got this nomination. But this is what he said on an interview last night about his wife, Usha, who's Indian. Obviously, she's not a white person, but I love her. She's such a good mum.
But
But
the butt there is doing a lot of heavy lifting.
But, like, what the fuck? Like, there's all these white supremacist attacks on your wife, an Indian American, and he's out here aligning himself with this candidate who's going to draw this attention at your wife, and you're like, oh, I love her, even though she's not white. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's. I'm looking forward to his campaign slogan: "Bros before hoes."
Yeah, mass deportation now. Ugh, yeah. God, it's interesting. It's interesting.
It's fun. It is fun.
I will say, the energy, the enthusiasm, the optimism coming back, it's nice. It's nice. I like it.
Nice.
I like not this sort of dread of this is all going to go horribly wrong. I like to believe.
Yes, I feel like the Democratic Party just got a haircut.
Yeah.
And they're feeling good about it.
Yeah. And Trump does not know what to do. Trump is melting down.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be very interesting.
I think since my last pod, I had braces.
Are you joking?
No.
I can't. Wait.
I'm getting real close to the microphone. Is that better? Is that better?
It's not better. No.
Okay, that's for the sound.
Wait, do you actually have? I can't see.
So
I
got Invisalign.
Is this the good news you're going to tell me?
No, it's not. This is unrelated.
Invisalign.
I got Invisalign, which is like removable plates. So
why?
You're
a grown man.
I am a grown man, but sometimes teeth do what they want, Michael.
What?
Yeah. So I had braces as a kid, and back in those days, 20 plus years ago, the dentists were kind of just like poking blindly, right? There's none of this like taking X-rays and seeing where the teeth are and imaging and all that kind of stuff, right? It was just sort of like that's probably something under there. We'll see what happens. She'll be right. So they put braces on me and moved all my teeth around, and I have quite nice straight teeth, generally speaking. But I had wisdom teeth. I had 4 wisdom teeth, and they're like, "Oh, we'll straighten them up, and then when the wisdom teeth come around, we can adjust them if they need to." I had braces for a couple of years, then I had retainer, so I wore a retainer for a couple of years, like day and night, and then gradually it just became a nights only thing, just to keep them in the place they were. But those wisdom teeth never appeared. Got to uni, and then my mouth started to really hurt, and I think like second year or something like that. And went to the dentist, and it's like, oh yeah, it's your wisdom teeth. And at this point, they then invented the sort of dental X-ray shit where you just lie down, they stick the camera in, and then 10 seconds later you got an X-ray of your mouth. They had a look, and my wisdom teeth were going sideways. All 4 of them were pointed completely horizontal, and my jaw.
That's insane.
Yeah, and crushing.
Wait, what are you, a fucking crab?
I guess
what
so.
Are those sharks that has like?
Yeah, the sharks that have like endless layers of.
You're like a Venus flytrap.
Yeah. And so the reason they hadn't appeared was they were pointing 90 degrees the wrong direction, so they're never going to appear. And they were compacting my front teeth and moving them and threatening to, cause issues. So they surgeried them out. So I went into complete general anesthesia, and they cut them in half and ripped them out of my jaw, in 12 years ago or more probably now. And at that point, after those compacting teeth had been moved out, all of my other teeth could start to like wiggle around. So they had all of this extra space. They're like, oh, thank God that guy's gone, and could just like float about in my mouth. And gradually all the stuff that I'd spent years aligning got out of line again. So it was sort of like one of those things where it's like, that's annoying, but it's not like enough of a thing to cause me to actually go do something about it. Yeah. Until I chipped a fucking tooth. I chipped a tooth about 2 or 3 months ago.
Yeah, I remember.
On a mug, right? But I went into the
Deep Fort mug,
branded.
which are safe, by the way.
So they're completely safe. They have almost no lead, and they are very gentle when the teeth gets knocked out. Like you barely even feel it.
But please do not try and eat them.
Don't eat them. So I went to the dentist, and I took like the rush appointment. You'll remember I said I was there 2 days later, and your comment was I had a hole in my mouth for 1.5 years.
Yeah, I did.
But the woman that I went to see said, your lower teeth have moved such that they're now resting on the upper teeth a bit weirdly, and that kind of pressure might be causing a weakness, which then makes you more prone to chips. And at that point, I was like, well, fuck, I don't want to have my top teeth chipping all the time. So I went to the orthodontist.
It's stressing me out.
Yeah, and my former housemate had actually gone to this orthodontist himself and had Invisalign 5 years ago or something like that, and had recommended him. So I went and had a visit, and they do all these fancy scans and had a look, and it was the exact same cost, braces or the Invisalign. And so I was like, I'll just do the Invisalign.
So what's the difference?
So a
Invisalign's
brace,
plate.
Invisalign is like literally, I mean, this is going to be horrible. So I will show you.
Oh, no.
I will show you.
No.
I will show you. But I'm just going to warn you, it's going to be horrible. So I want to show mostly for the sound.
You do not.
I'm going to show you for the sound. I'm going to show you for the sound.
Oh my god, this is not good ASMR, Nick. No one wants that.
It's out. See.
Oh, for fuck off!
That's just a mouth guard.
I don't like it because I know it smells bad.
What? It smells bad. That's
has
not.
to.
It doesn't smell bad. I rinse it and wash it all the time. Okay.
Put it back in. That's what she said.
Even your darkest moments, you can cling onto that lifeline. But the weird thing about so that's really traumatized you, and I'm quite excited by that actually, because it's very rare to put you on the back foot, and this has given me so much.
I got like a little like goosebumpy situation going on over here.
So braces are permanently wires. They stick little attachments onto the front of each tooth, and then they thread a wire through all of them, and they sort of cinch it up, and that pulls it straight.
Yeah.
The way that this works is it's basically a mouth guard, and they've printed me 15 sets of mouth guards, and every week you put a new one in, and it very slightly, applies pressure and moves it, and then over the course of a week it moves to the end point, and you're then ready to put on the next one, which will keep moving it a step further. So it's sort of like a multi-step progression.
Right.
And they call it Invisalign because it's less visible. Like I had to really get up to the camera for you to see.
But
I still couldn't see it. It's all still sort of transparent. But the weird thing is these little attachments, right? So they super glue effectively little bumps onto the front of a few of your teeth, so that then when you put your mouth guard in, it like hooks onto them, which means that it's able to move those affected teeth. But halfway through the process, they stick these sort of, I guess, generic sized attachments onto each tooth, but then they have to shave them down to like the size that they need to be. And so I'm a pretty good dental person, right? Like I don't tend to get weirded out, but when there's a guy with like a like bandsaw over your mouth, like
that's the worst part. And you can feel it reverberating.
Literally booming through my skull, like on the upper teeth.
Is your skull?
It's your skull, and it's vibrating with such a noise that it's like shaking my eardrum from the inside. Like my head was just the noise of an edge grinder. Like that was a confronting moment. I'm not gonna lie. And then after that, you have all of these bumps all over your teeth, and I keep like lisping because my lips like are sitting.
They're not used to.
They're not used to sitting on it. Anyway, this was a week and a half now, and I'm all pretty used to it, and hopefully my speech feels pretty normal. But
How long do you have to have it on for?
it's probably going to be about 6 months. So it's relatively short, 6 to 9 months, they said. Relatively short because my teeth are already in a pretty decent alignment. It's just about moving some of them and making the fit better. So relatively quick. But the fun part for me, as a bit of a tech person, is they give you like a scanner. So every week I have this little like, I slot my phone into this mouth, sort of thing, and then use it to do like 3D scanning of my teeth. And then that gets sent off to the dentist and they look at it and they go, oh, yes, that's good. Oh, yeah, I'll put you on the next one. Or, oh, no, not quite yet. And you get to play a little game where you like bite all the bubbles and like move the camera around in your mouth and everything. And then send 3D models off. And each of those, over the course of the treatment, they stitch it together into like a stop motion progression of like the progress, so you can scrub through a little video at the end and watch your teeth move from week to week.
You're a weird little man.
Okay, well, I thought you'd be excited for me.
I mean, you're taking it real well, so I got to give you that. I mean, I am having a visceral response to this whole story.
Okay,
in many
so
ways.
This is your body shutting down.
Well, I had braces myself growing up, and I think it's unfair that you have to get braces or Invisalign again. It's like getting braces is kind of like doing time in prison. You do it, you get out, that's it.
Yeah,
and then just to be like, oh no, we're reopening the case.
Sure.
20 years later, that's not fair.
DNA evidence has come out.
Double jeopardy.
Double jeopardy.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, you've actually pulled the correct term. Yeah.
There's a pun there. Double jeopardy, tooth. What you got?
It's not an easy one. Why are you so confident there's a pun there?
Yes. Just stay with us, folks. We'll work it out.
Yeah, this is the next 15 minutes, so skip to the next chapter if you'd like.
Just throw out some dental terms.
Canine, molar, incisor, chipping, chewing, grinding.
Maybe we won't get it.
Yeah.
That's
root.
Right. Yeah. No. That's okay.
Okay. Well, I like your confidence.
Sometimes you just can't get it. Sometimes you can't get it.
Yeah. Sometimes it's good to spend some time not getting a joke and then leaving that in the podcast.
Someone will be listening to this and they'll be like, I've got the perfect pun. And if you do, email it.
Okay.
Email it.
And just to be clear, so we're setting the boundaries here. We're looking for a pun that is the intersection of dental work and legal jeopardy. That's
Yes.
the crossroads we're aiming for here. So if someone out there is screaming at their podcast player, oh, it should have been
Love it.
fluoride related, or something about manslaughter, just get in the comments, flick us a message.
Wait. Should I ChatGPT it?
Okay.
Let's see what we'll see what the robots think.
A pun combining dental work and criminal convictions.
So the robots think, how about brushing up on your right and wrongs? Yeah. Yeah, I had a full-on conversation.
How about something about giving the tooth the whole tooth and nothing but the tooth? I mean, it's old. It's old. It's in the vicinity.
I think it's closer than brushing up on your right.
Yes.
ChatGPT, honestly,
piece of shit.
I was typing in ChatGPT. I was trying to find names via ChatGPT yesterday, actually.
Okay.
And I asked it for a couple, and it was like, no,
dog names,
terrible,
you mean?
Right? Dog names, 2-syllable female dog names that are
given
fun.
a million years, they never would have given you Pepsi.
No, they didn't. They did have sushi, which I thought was interesting.
Okay.
And I just had a full-on conversation with this. So I'm asking it for dog names. It gives me 10. I'm like, no. And then I say to it, what about, and I'm reading this, by the way, what about Pepsi? What do you think about Pepsi? Just asking its opinion. and it said, Pepsi is one of the world's most popular well-carbonated soft drinks. And I was like, okay. And I was like, this is what I said, as a dog's name, you idiot. And chat said, I see. Here's some fun 2-syllable dog names inspired by Pepsi. Number 1 was Pepsi. Interesting. And I said,
It's very inspired.
I'm asking what your opinion is. And it said, got it. Personally, I think Pepsi is a solid choice for a carbonated soft drink. And then I said, you're honestly very stupid. No offense. And I spelled offense with a C. And this is where I thought it got interesting.
Okay.
Because I said, you are honestly quite stupid. No offense with a C.
Yeah.
And chat said, no offense with an S taken, which I thought was a real power move. And I was like, okay. Okay.
So I think clearly that's trained on American models, because you'd be correct with a C in British and Australian
Oh, really?
texts. Yeah.
Oh, well, it was enough to doubt myself. And
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
But do you ever say please when you're using you don't really use ChatGPTs. I find myself saying please and thank you too much.
Yeah. I don't use it enough to have a consistent pattern. I think I would tend, if I was using it, to be a bit of a dick, but that's probably because I'm just letting my own biases through.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. You were talking about your teeth.
Anyway. Well, I'm excited to have brought you on this journey with me, Michael. And I am sorry that you're so jealous that you can't even appreciate the beauty of my teeth and the journey that I'm on.
Yeah, honestly, this is why I don't go to the dentist, because it's only ever bad news.
Yeah, but weirdly, if you went to the dentist more, it would be good news.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not how my brain works.
Yeah. To be fair, this, I guess, was voluntary. Like, I initiated going to get this looked at. But I also don't want chips, you know? I don't want chips. I don't want hot chips.
If you're ever... What?
Well, you had chips at the start of the podcast. I just wanted clarity. If you've enjoyed this kind of conversation, that's really nice to hear. Thank you so much. As previously mentioned, over the course of a podcast, we get closer and closer to the end, and we're now sort of at that final part here. So we're just going to do this outro, and then there'll be sort of one little bit afterwards, and then the podcast will end. But if you want to listen to more things, well, good news. There's plenty in the old podcast feed that you can scroll down, pick up another one. You can listen to songs that we made on Spotify. You can listen to podcasts there too, of course. Rate them 5 stars if you like. Same on Apple Podcasts. You can get in contact with us with your tooth and law puns to deepfort@gmail.com. And you can flick messages to us on Instagram or Facebook if you'd like as well, where you'll also find pictures of Michael's
Dogs.
new puppy, Pepsi.
Yeah.
Oh, what a cutie. And pictures of my new mouth guards.
Yeah. Lauren just sent me a text message just saying she's sleeping and snoring.
Oh, that's very cute.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Oh, thank you for that segue. I got a quick question here for you, Michael. If you've got a 10-digit mobile phone number and you're repeating that digit to someone else so that they can write it down, how do you break those numbers up?
I know. This is great. I do 433.
433. Classic choice. In New Zealand, it's quite common here, and in fact my process is a 334, because the intro number is always 3 digits, and that's the carrier, so it just depends which carrier you're with, and then that's a nice way to fix it at the end. Hey, you distracted by your hair? How's your hair?
I got a little alfalfa going. I can't look at this.
Yeah, you got a
We're back.
We're back. Chicken hair.
I'm going to turn off my camera. I'm going to turn off my...
So you start staring at yourself.
All right, there we go. Look at your braces.
Thank you. In New Zealand, a 334 is pretty common. You can also sometimes get a 335, which I find a little bit unnerving, but it happens. Here's what happened to me this week, and I think you'll agree this is at the very least unusual. In the body of an email, there was a signature which had a mobile number. This is an email sent to me that had a 433, and then further down, it had the same number as a 334.
No.
This person had written the mobile phone number in 2 different groupings in the same email, And I find that
That's illegal.
unfathomable.
No, that's psychotic. You
We
can't
all
do that.
agree there's a little bit of flexibility here. Sometimes if you've got a
But
double
pick a lane.
number,
But
if you've got a
pick a
double
lane.
number, you might want to scooch a number over there because it's just a bit easier to say, double two or whatever.
Maybe.
Right? There's a bit of flex there. You could 4-3-3, you can
Maybe.
3-3-4. Do not, under any circumstances, mix it up and just decide sometimes you're going to read it with a 3-3-4 and sometimes you're a 4-3-3. Like, what world do you think we live in where that's acceptable?
No, it's not. You're changing time signatures. You can't do that.
Yeah. Okay, now you've actually made me feel that's more interesting. You've actually unknowingly made that seem sort of jazzy and cool.
Because it is, you know what? It is a rhythm. It is
02.
like
4135.
yeah, you're trying to think of
679.
yeah, ba 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 ba. Yeah, that is it is rhythmic.
It's funky. It is funky.
And that's, you know what? We've stumbled onto something very interesting here. Because, you do this, I don't know if you did this in science, you probably just were able to understand the information, but I had to make myself songs,
Sure.
A, B, Bab, A, B, C, D, E, D, F, G.
Yeah, with your undiagnosed ADHD, yes.
And that was way easy to remember. I know that's a common thing, but I guess it is it is a way to remember, or it's like it becomes part. It's basically what you're doing is you're singing a little song to someone when they ask you for your number.
Were you ever?
You can't just change the song.
Yeah, this is like spending years on branding. Getting the O'Brien, and then rebranding halfway through and being like, ha, O'Brien. Like, no, sorry. We all know how this is meant to go. What are you doing? You didn't need to change anything here.
Cool. Do you remember this one? Cool 13, 30, 32.
Yeah, that's very
It
good.
was Lubemobile.
Lubemobile? Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Right, that kid with the
13,
mullet,
13,
remember that?
Yeah.
No, but he said 13.
You don't get
13.
many jingles these days, do you?
No, well, I
Not
didn't get
sung,
much
not
free to
sung.
air.
Yeah, but not sung jingles. You might
No,
get
you
like a
don't.
little musical note or like a sting or something, but you don't get a sing along.
Well, no, you don't get a sing along. You get like a McDonald's. I'm fascinated by McDonald's one because it's like, ba, ba, ba. It's like it's nothing, but it's McDonald's. It's not even.
Did you just
interesting
fail to
intervals.
remember butter ba ba ba?
Yeah, sorry. But make it more catchy.
It doesn't work.
Make it more interesting.
Yeah, come on, McDonald's.
Ba, 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 ba.
Really
Like, who
need to
came
pick
up-
a game.
Imagine. Do you reckon you could do that? Do you reckon you could come up with like a ba 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 ba? So that's 5 notes. Do you reckon you could do?
It
make
is an
something
art.
catchy in 5 notes?
It's an art.
I
I mean,
respect
even
it
the choice
massively.
of having a ba da ba, like that's
Ba, ba,
a
ba.
flavor.
Yeah.
Like someone had
Yeah.
to choose that as a syllable, as a an assonant, or not assonant, plosive. I forget. Picking different sounds to actually
Yeah.
sing along to. Like, why not do? Like, they would have gone through iterations. Do.
Yeah.
BBB.
Yeah.
Why not mms for McDonald's? Shouldn't we just,
Yeah.
But no, they went
It's
barred
brilliant.
up. They went barred
It's
up.
brilliant. It's really good.
Yeah, that's why they get the big bucks. Anyway, my point being, 4-3-3, 3-3-4, doesn't matter. Just stick to it. What are you doing?
No, I'm totally with you. Do you want to close with some weird news, Nick?
I'd love that more than anything in the world, Michael. Play the jingle.
In the news today from the Strange and Weird Fact File.
Well, for decades, only crackpots and crazy people believed in UFOs.
Deputies
That's
still
what I
say
thought
the
anyway.
suspect told them he's been performing sex acts on animals since the
That's what I
1970s.
told about my close encounter with the Yeti. Totally true.
A sticky situation at an airport in Tennessee after baggage was sprayed with rust.
Turns out the government had been taking them seriously all along.
This is Deep Thought Weird News with Michael Zuberevkula-Sludge.
So this week's weird news comes from the New York Times, actually. How about that?
That's
Turning a new leaf.
not where I expect weird news
Shocking.
from. Yeah.
No one does. But pretty interesting story.
Doing a lot of preamble here while you load up the document.
Is it?
It's from
obvious that I'm stalling?
the New York Times
Times.com.
website.
So the headline is, I think this headline, it's not very New York Times, it's it's interesting. Headline, not afraid of sharks? Well, now they're on cocaine. Kid you not, this is New York Times.
That's the paper of record.
Let me muse through this. Researchers have confirmed the presence of cocaine in sharks off the coast of Rio de Janeiro, though questions remain about the effects of the drug on the sharks. If the prospect of sharks lurking just off the beach wasn't frightening enough, researchers in Brazil have discovered a new reason to be unnerved. Some of them have cocaine in their system. In a study published last week, researchers tested 13 sharks off the coast of Rio de Janeiro and found that all of them had traces of cocaine in their liver and muscle tissues. The levels of cocaine found in these sharks were reported to be as much as 100 times higher than in previously observed marine life. We were actually dumbfounded.
Wait. Okay. I'll pick that up.
Why are they
I'll
testing?
pick that up.
Sometimes the police, you're swimming too fast. And they're like, I know what's up here, buddy.
Yeah.
We were actually dumbfounded, said Rachel, blah, 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 a co-author of the study and biologist at the Who Cares? We were excited in a bad way, but it's a novel report. It's the first time this data has ever been found for any top predator. Well, yeah. This was the first study to analyze cocaine in sharks, following various studies on smaller species, including mollusks, crustaceans, and even eels. All 13 sharks examined were found to have unfiltered cocaine in much higher concentrations than in previous studies on other animals, indicating chronic exposure to the drug. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Wow. I mean,
it sounds like they're getting some pure shit.
there's so many things I want to know. How is it getting to the sharks? Are they being specifically targeted? Or if you tested the other fish in the area, are they also cocaine-y? Is this just viral marketing for the Cocaine Bear sequel, Cocaine Shark? And this is just bloody Hollywood going nuts again. Also, I'm a little bit disappointed this is only 13 sharks. Like, okay, yes, you're getting close to cocaine-addled sharks in the, dangerous waters off Peru or wherever it was. That's not really statistically significant, is it? I mean, how many sharks are there in the ocean? Get me 200 cocaine-riddled sharks, and then I'll pay attention.
It is, I agree, but it's also 13 more sharks than I would have guessed to have cocaine in their system.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. The throwaway there, this is more than we expected from previous studies. Why are we testing so many marine creatures for cocaine?
Yeah. And also, are they getting a good price?
Yeah.
I guess the other obvious question here.
I mean,
and can they swim down to the southern coast of Australia?
To be honest, I feel like that's a fairly intimidating buyer. Like if they said I want more for less, I feel like you're probably going to give it to them. So I wouldn't be concerned about whether they're getting a good price.
Yes. I wonder because sharks are very intimidating, as everyone knows. Drug dealers, as everyone knows, very intimidating. Who's winning? Who's winning that tug of war?
Yeah. This is, I guess, potential grounds for further study.
I think they should test them for Molly, maybe acid.
I think this is actually some pretty significant fear-mongering from the scientific community. Most sharks out there, they're just doing weed, they're just taking a gummy. They're just chilling out, right?
Very
but you
chill,
only ever
very
hear
chill.
about the 13 that are on coke going crazy.
Exactly.
Instead of the vast majority of people who just sit down and watch Netflix. This
recreationally.
is classic beat up.
Yes. Although I've been told that they can be quite aggressive.
Gummy shark. Fuck, it was right there. Gummy shark. It doesn't matter. Anyway. I'll put that back in earlier.
The sharks do have Charlie Sheen energy.
Right. That is some weird news from the New York Times.
You're welcome. Thank you, New York Times. Let me just tell you this because I have to get this is pressing.
Okay.
And it's very short, and I wrote it down in my phone immediately.
Okay.
So yesterday I went to the shop. We're doing the dog purchasing stuff,
Yeah.
right? And I went to it's like a small shopping center, and I went to the bathroom there, and I'm going to call them out, Berkeley Square Shopping Center in Brunswick. And I went to the bathroom
fancy
there.
pants over here.
I went to the bathroom to take a leak. Take a leak.
Have you ever had your stuff checked? Because you piss all the time, and that is like actually a symptom for like some stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
Have you?
No.
Have you?
yeah.
No, you got to be
We'll get to that. Like next week. A little teaser.
okay.
Nick, so I'm taking a look, and I hear behind me this guy comes racing through. He's in a hurry, and I didn't really see him, but I can hear the footsteps, and he goes into a cubicle, slams the door shut, quickly takes off his pants, and does the most like thick, bubbly. It was insane. It was insane. Like it was actually comical. Like if you heard it, you'd be like, that's a fake sound of someone shitting.
Yeah.
And it was so loud, and I kid you not, and I can't decide if this was a beautiful moment or just the worst moment ever, but a guy in another cubicle said, "Nice." A fellow shitter of this man
A colleague.
felt the need to comment and say,
Another man in the
my
trenches.
brother in shit.
Wow.
I like your work. I'm just there. And you know what the worst part was? There was no one next to me at the urinal to look at and go, what the fuck? And you know what? I actually, when this guy shat, I went, like it was that bad. I started to dry retch, whatever. I went, and then that guy said that. I'm like, life is beautiful again.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it takes all types. That is a power move. Because in that situation, your choice is either pretend you can't hear anything or lean hard in the other direction. And to be honest, respect. That's a man who is confident in himself, who understands the assignment, and he was there for this guy
Yeah.
in a moment of need. And that's beautiful. That's really Kamala Harris 2024, baby.
Yeah.